The Forever Coogs continue to win. It seems like they might just win forever, like the name implies. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Cougs. I'm your host, Parker Ainsworth, joined by Mike Brown, as we've been doing throughout the basketball tournament. Mike, we typically start off the show with a little bit of a weird question of the day type of question. I'm kind of at a loss for words after how big a drumming the Forever Coogs just put on Team Colorado. What was if you can think of a quick one-sentence line, what would you say about that one?
It's a perfect game played by Forever Coogs. You typically don't get that. And I was watching the telecast on my phone because I wanted to hear what the announcers were saying while we were watching the game. And it was the same thing. What do you say about that game? They played physical, and I know this is longer than a sentence. I'm perfectly aware. Physicality, shooting, Rob Gray, Fabian White, Melvin Frazier, Justin Gorham, Jarris Walker was in attendance. Kelvin Sampson was in attendance. This could not have this was a culture win for the University of Houston, is the best way to put it.
Well, and I thought Kelvin was great at halftime. We may have time to talk about that as well.
Oh, yeah.
It really was, if there was any doubt that Fabian White was going to have an impact by showing up from Summer League, that was quickly squelched. Honestly, we should point out the final score was technically 74-49. I didn't think it felt 25 points close. It didn't feel like the two teams are playing the same sport for a lot of the time. Rob Gray had 23 points. I was honestly surprised it was that low. I thought he had closer to 30 until I checked the box score. Felt like he just didn't miss. But Fabian White is I think, where we should start, because he didn't start, I don't believe, right? But he does make a big impact in this game early on. His presence is very felt, and he was new. For the folks that have been following this tournament, they know, but anyone new to this is the basketball tournament. It's been going on about a decade. Fun Elam ending kind of stuff at the end of it. Winning team gets $1 million with the financial incentives along the way. The Forever Coogs is a team of primarily Houston alumni. Most teams have some sort of an alumni tie or thread like that. And honestly, Team Colorado has Andre Roberson, like a former pro, a handful of guys that have some G League experience with ties to Colorado. But they were no match for Forever Coogs, who move on to the Final Four in Philly this weekend. This game was in Fertitta Center, which was fun, and we'll talk about the impact that had later. Fabian, first of all, we should point out, because it seems to get brought up every time his name is mentioned, the winningest Cougar in program history, 121 wins, 28 losses to his name in the red and white. Tonight they wore navy, which I thought was really good for what it's worth. But I've talked a lot. What do you think about Fabian's impact? He was tremendous.
He was incredible. Him in that building, and if you listen to Kelvin talk about Fabian White, you know why University of Houston basketball fans hold him in such high regard. Winningest Cougar ever. He's just like, you think about a word to describe Fabian White: winner, nasty, talented, leader. There's so many things you can say about him, but credit to the coaching staff, because they were able to take a guy like Fabian White and work him in with Justin Gorham, who I know Rob Gray gets all the love, and he should. Rob Gray, on the last show you and I did, we talked about how great of a Cougar Rob Gray is. I will go on record right now saying Rob Gray is not the MVP of this team through this part of the tournament. It's Justin Gorham. Watch Justin Gorham play, and he brings it. And it's not to say that Rob Gray doesn't. It's when you look at the box score. What did Justin Gorham do tonight? He had 4 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He was only 2 of 10 from the field, so he did not shoot well tonight. He is the reason why, one of the major reasons, but for me, if you gave out an MVP, it's Justin Gorham. You do not get to this point without Justin Gorham. And Fabian White and him played so well together tonight. Tashawn Thomas fit in like a glove. Melvin Frazier had one of the nastiest sequences I've seen.
Dunk was sick.
The dunk was sick, but the block was sicker. Because if you guys missed the game, and if you're listening to the show, thank you. But imagine the Colorado guy got a nice pass from the corner, duck into the basket. Frazier had to help off of his man to catch the driver, blocked it at the glass, and then Thomas had the beautiful no-look pass. The dunk was great. The block was even better, in my opinion. But Fabian White is going to be the reason why this team wins the tournament. They are not going to lose Friday, and they will win Sunday.
Well, and so they play a team, we'll get to this, I'm sure, over the course of the show, called Eberline Drive. It looks like they're Midwest-based, kind of tied to Butler loosely in the Final Four matchup. They beat Team Colorado tonight, Tuesday night, as we record this. And I have to say that part of the thing that Gorham did was tremendous defense. He and Fabian both kind of alternated on Andre Roberson. Roberson was the lone NBA type of pro on Colorado. They've got guys that have played some in the G League, played some in Europe, and I don't mean to diminish any of that, but there's a big gap in resume between Andre Roberson and everyone else. There just is. He was first team all defense in like 2011 or 2012. He was a tremendous defender, right? Played on those Thunder teams.
He played well tonight too. I mean, he's impressive. He's still impressive. As a Rockets fan, I hate Andre Roberson, but watching him play tonight, you see why he played in the league as long as he did and why he was as successful as he was. Full display tonight.
Fabian White, there was a spark plug energy to it. There's a buzz in the stadium because it was announced between games that between last game and then this game that he was going to be on the roster and play. And he's not Galen Robinson locally. I think they call him the Godfather. He's not Rob Gray nationally in the electric scoring kind of sense, or Quentin Grimes, Marcus Sasser, any of that kind of stuff as far as guard play and flashiness and whatever. Kid went to Atascocita High School. Kid was born in Houston. Kid went to U of H and did nothing but win, right? There's just a different vibe when it all clicks like that, right? I guess I kind of forgot he had a stint when I was looking up pictures for the cover art, honestly, for the thumbnail. He played with the South Bay Lakers. I kind of forgot he had a G League stint. Mm-hmm. He's been playing in France. And honestly, I didn't watch a whole lot of him in the Summer League. I know he played on the Rocket Summer League team. I was impressed that he looks like he hasn't lost a step at all. Like he looks like the same guy. It was tremendous to see, again, that high level of basketball player playing in this tournament.
He brings a level of sophistication to the roster is what you saw tonight. There's not a lot of teams that can play at the level that these guys can, of a Rob Gray, a Fabian White, a Tashawn Thomas, who was, all first team Big 12 at one point when he went to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Rob Gray, and Fabian and Devin Davis, and Colorado had no shot tonight. Like, this game was over from the jump. And Fabian, again, is going to be the X factor. And it doesn't look like Digi's going to join the team at this point. I haven't seen anything that says that he's going to. Yeah. It would be very, 1997 Undertaker at, Survivor Series. If he just shows up in the Stone Cold, Steve Austin or the Dead Man's Coat, and just walks in Philadelphia, and we win by 30. Because this tournament is going to come down to a clash of the Titans, in my opinion, and that's U of H and Kentucky. We'll break down the Eberlin Drive team. Watch them tonight as well. They're okay. They've got a ton of NBA experience on that team, as the broadcast team outlined tonight. Multiple years of experience on that team. I'll tell you this, Parker, and I'll tell everybody listening, good luck Friday night. The game starts at 6:00. That game should be over by 6:45. Because if U of H plays the game that they play tonight and it's only going to get better. Eberlin Drive has no shot Friday night. And I know like that's cliche to come on and do a show. And you're like, they have no shot. I'm telling you right now. Like,
I want to mention some stuff on the game they had tonight and why that ties into Eberlin Drive. I want to talk about a couple of comments that people have brought up as well. But first, we should point out these games are happening in Philly. And if you're like, I just got to get to Philly and got to get some tickets, the place to go do that is Game Time. They got last-minute ticket deals, the lowest price guarantee. I love that you can go on and find tickets in a particular section and row and see what it looks like from that seat in that venue for that type of event. I don't know a whole lot about Philadelphia, but if you're trying to get there and get to the game, download Game Time app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Turn apply again. That's code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute gets the lowest prices, guaranteed. We also have a new buddy I want to talk to a little bit about because let's just be honest. Ever since the pandemic, I put on a few pounds. But everybody's got, no one's their best self anymore. We're trying to find ways to get back in shape without prep, without messiness, etc. And Factor is the place. It was the best place to kickstart a healthy routine. 35 different meals, more than 60 different add-ons to choose from every week. You can crush your wellness goals. This big dietitian-approved kind of approach to sending you nutritious, healthy meals every single week once you sign up. So head over to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 50% off, 20% off your next box every month, which is while your subscription is active. All right, so we talked about Fabian. We talked about the impact he had. Again, I don't think it should be underscored. Rob Gray had 23 points. Rob Gray was talking trash. Rob Gray hits a pull-up three and starts talking to somebody on the Colorado bench as soon as it happened. Rob Gray, the electricity, when I say that the nation remembers his tournament runs, right? Like the electricity he plays with, it's in this very unorganized tournament in the sense that like teams don't have sets and systems and whatever. They're just kind of put together. It's glorified pickup and he is good at it. So
yeah, like breaking news, Rob Gray is really good at basketball. And the hair is immaculate. I mean, that's one of the first things
he's got the little mohawk thing going right now.
In the gym tonight, like it is a nice taper fade that he's got going on. Look, Rob Gray, I mean, it's so weird, Parker, because this team, we love these guys, right? Like we grew up, like, I mean, these are our guys, like Fabian White, Rob Gray. You roll a nickel down the street in any other city besides Houston. Does the average basketball fan know about these guys? Probably not. But I will tell you the one thing that I absolutely love about this team and why this team is going to beat Kentucky in the finals on Sunday. They have the NBA talent. They have the names and the bright lights. They've got the Willie Cauley-Stein. They've got Bledsoe. What this team has is nastiness. Like, if you're a fan of basketball like I am and like you are, I love nasty. Like, give me the Dylan Brookses of the world. Give me the Draymond Greens. Give me the Dennis Rodmans. Give me the Vernon Maxwells. Like, those are the types of guys that I love. Willie Cauley-Stein is fine, right? Imagine what Willie Cauley-Stein is going to have to go through on Sunday if U of H wins Friday against Fabian and against Justin Gorham. Like, that's a level of physicality that Rob Gray helps bring out of his guys. It's so big. And Kelvin Sampson's been in the building for multiple games. I'm looking at a video now. I mean, I ran home to come do the show with you, but after the game, him and Lauren Sampson are embracing the players on the court. And that includes Rob. Like, Rob is the guy who's getting the longest hug at the end. You watch the video. He is beloved at the University of Houston. And look, people can call it silly or not. To bring home the first championship for this program with guys who helped build the program. I understand it's not a national championship, but it's a championship. And this can help show. This is going to be a recruiting tool. This has absolutely been on recruiting tool. This is a program win. Come to U of H, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to get a lot of McAllister's Deli. And you're going to get coached and go to the NBA if you have that skill set.
And it shows that the culture they play with is inevitable, right? Like they'll play whenever. And frankly, that's kind of an interesting tie that binds all these guys because there aren't a whole lot of offensive sets. They're running a 2-3 or a man-to-man. There's not a whole lot more complexity to the defenses. But when you play that hard, you have the nasty like you're talking about. Those kinds of things continue to carry over. And as CA37 points out, it just felt like Colorado got punched in the mouth and had no plan, right? The CA37 asked about, thought Colorado might make a run, but it never came. It felt like they didn't have any idea a run. They didn't have a plan for what came to them.
University of Houston tonight wanted it more. Forever Coogs just wanted this game more. And sometimes this beautiful game of basketball, which I love. And I'll watch it and basically in any circumstance, right? And what I'll tell you is, and to kind of bring this into the Olympics, this team reminds me of South Sudan. Is honestly like the parallel that I look at, because similar type of situation, right? You have a Dylan Gabriel who comes in and they play so hard. And they're coached by, here's your Houston tie, Roy L. Ivey, who's one of the assistants under Ime Udoka. That team just wants it more. Like you watch that game, them in Puerto Rico, the first game of the playoffs, their first ever win as a country, which was so great to watch. This U of H team reminds me of that team because when you get on the court, you better bring your lunch pail. If you're going up against that team in the paint, do not try and start a fight with anybody on the court because you're going to lose. Like Melvin Frazier is now a University of Houston Cougar forever. Like I understand he went to Tulane and that's fine, but he's one of us,
And I've said it before in this tournament. They did a great job with a couple guys they picked up that are not U of H alums and finding guys that fit the culture. And he hit the nail on the head with it. Tonight he was kind of the same kind of nasty with everybody else. Great ad. One guy that is a Houston Cougar that I want to touch on. Wes Van Beck did go down with an injury. It looks like it's just this rolled ankle, and then they were up by 30-ish, and so it's like, why play him on a bad ankle? It did not strike me as the same kind of ankle as Jamal Shed had in March Madness, as CA37 asks about here. That was a stomach punch to say the least. But on his ankle, I thought it was just a rolled ankle. He'll be back. Like he could play tomorrow. He might have been able to play for a close game. Do you think I'm wrong there?
It was a nasty turn. You see if you look at the instant replay, I mean, it was instant. Like if you've played ball before, you know what a rolled ankle looks like. That could be a significant sprain. It all depends on what happens tomorrow. He came out of the game quick. That was not hey, I'm just going to kind of try and walk this thing off. He went straight to the bench. Do I think he plays Friday based on what I saw? Yes, I do. It's so crazy because Def, Taxes, Rob Gray, and Wes Van Beck throwing the ball at the hoop, trying to, hit a jump shot, right? Like very reminiscent to the Mighty Ducks when Fulton Reed was like 1 out of 5. Like that's Wes Van Beck. It's crazy though. It's crazy though, because if you think about this, Parker, like what's been the one constant we've talked about? I mean, this is what, their third game, right? Yeah, this is their third game. Fourth game. Sorry. This is their fourth game. This team cannot shoot on a consistent basis. I mean, tonight they shot, what was it? And I was shocked when I saw this, but it's about right. They shot 7 of 22 from the 3-point line. This team gets even worse from the 3-point line of Wes Van Beck can't play.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like that's a crazy thought to me. Now, what I did see tonight, Chandre Jones, I like Wes Van Beck more on the defensive end with more than Chandre Jones. He's a little bit thicker. He's a little bit bigger. He's also played with these guys before. Chandre Jones hasn't. So that's one of the advantages to having a Wes Van Beck on the floor. The one thing about Eberlin Drive is they are deep. They had 8 guys tonight who scored more than 10 points. They are going to get guys involved. I'm not really worried about the game on Friday. If Wes Van Beck plays, it's good. If he doesn't play, I'm still not that concerned outside of if he catches fire, because this team overall is a horrifically bad shooting team.
Well, and it's a really bad shooting team, and that's kind of the lone flaw, honestly.
That's it.
If and when they lose, it's going to be because they get outshot, and I think their defense masks a lot of that.
Ball handling too. Ball handling. If Rob Gray doesn't have the ball in his hands, it's a little shaky. Those are the two areas that I look at. Friday night, they are going to attack the rim. I'm going to have a layup counter, and I'm just going to have the little tally mark for every time they have a shot within like 3 feet of the rim. It's going to be a majority of their shots. They're going to look at this thing and say, we're stronger than you, we're bigger than you, and we are going to outwork you. They're not going to shoot that big number of threes. They're going to shoot under 15 threes on Friday.
Well, and I would have thought, honestly, the ball handling would be where Ladiki would have helped if he'd been on the roster like we thought he would have been. Andre Jones has been fine. It's Rob Gray's show. He's bringing the ball up, and it's just his show. And I want to talk some about what the show was like, and then we can really preview the weekend in a second. But first, they're trying to build a championship team here, and if you're trying to build a championship ride, passion, drive, and patience are the formula for winning championships, and they also will keep your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether in speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You always find exactly what you're looking for, and eBay guaranteed fit. Your parts guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With the parts you need, the prices you want, is easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusion apply. eBay guarantee is only available to U.S. customers. So Rob Gray's kind of having this tournament where it's like, if you don't know, now you know kind of stuff, right? Where like people watching this that might have forgotten about, again, taking Houston to the tournament the first time in a long time, or honestly, just like that, how strong those teams were in the mid-teens. He's been playing overseas, so has kind of gone under the radar since. He had 23 points tonight on 15 shots. He was attacking the rim. I want to talk about the lone three he made, because I don't know if you were within earshot, but he hits a three, looks at the Colorado bench, and starts talking. And that's when it was like, this thing was over before you walked in, because no one is talking back to that man.
Yeah, like there are certain guys that I would not mess with.
He's a little crazy. He is a little crazy. Like he's got a little bit off.
Yeah, like I have a list of 10 guys that I just would not mess with. Ironically, like 4 of them are on this roster. That's Justin Gorham. I would not mess with Deshaun Thomas, Devontae Pollard, not one of those guys, and Rob Gray. And Rob Gray, Rob Gray likes to talk, and I like to talk, so I like Rob Gray. I smile because I don't want this run to end, Yeah. And it's such like a cool story, right? Like for the University of Houston, where we still don't have an AD, right? And
seriously,
we still don't have an AD. We are involved in this really goofy basketball tournament that's literally called the basketball tournament. And the crowd has just been better and better every night. People are starting to talk about this. Joseph Duarte is in the building. Jarris Walker's coming back. Quentin Grimes has been there. And Rob Gray is he's Rob Gray, and I know that's not great to say on a podcast where we solidify somebody's name, but it is. Like, he's just Rob Gray, and we love Rob Gray, and I would go to bat for Rob Gray on any day of the week that ends in Y. And I so want them to raise that championship trophy on Sunday.
So Rob Gray, at the end of the first quarter, it was 22-10, and Rob Gray had 10, which is as many points as the entire Colorado team had, right?
Yeah,
It was out the gate. He was a dominant force attacking the rim. I don't mean to say the 1-3. I mean, 3 he made at that point, the game was well decided. But the attitude he had at that point to turn on whatever he said, I mean, Colorado's bench was shook. And it was like, I don't know how much basketball you played, I don't know how much basketball I played or whatever compared to people listening. But generally speaking, if someone talks to me with whatever demeanor that was, if there's any fight in me, I'm going to get up and say something back. And Colorado looked like, that's what he said, right? It was just over. And it was late in the game. The score was also over. But even in that situation, I feel like it's just indicative of how the thing had gone. There were several shots.
The one thing that entered my mind when he did that was Vince Carter in the dunk contest. That was the one thing that popped in, and I tweeted it. I was like, it's done. Like, I mean, this thing is done. And you may as well pack up. You get to go back to Colorado, which, I mean, enjoy. Yeah, rather stay here. Rather stay here in the H, but Colorado's fine, and enjoy your 4-8 college football record this year with Dion. But it's anytime you need a bucket. I mean, he's just a bucket. He's a walking bucket. And those uniforms tonight, by the way, fire.
They went navy. So the Forever Coogs uniform, for folks that are listening and have not watched the tournament yet, A, you should watch the tournament. B, they've been a take on, it looks similar to like the Vice Name of Gym throwbacks in terms of the piping. The home white jersey was really more of a light gray, and then tonight they wore a navy version of it with red. Both have red stripes on the side. It was very, very good looking. Very clean, crisp. I know people at home were like, well, navy's not one of the colors. I'm like, this also was a Forever Coogs team, and it also is like a cool alternate. I'm into I'm not quite University of Oregon, but I'm into the uniform kind of stuff.
The one thing I will say about a tournament like this that I think they missed on, just for people at home who haven't had a chance to go, you and I are both memorabilia guys. You put a really cool logo on it, I'm gonna buy it. And I think they're not selling the merch like in the team store. They have a really limited run of they're just selling the generic stuff that they sell at all the games. TBT's got to get better at that. They have to make the gear more available. And maybe it was just a Houston thing. But
it's their first year having it. Other places have had it for a long time.
And they're going to learn. Absolutely. They're going to learn. But that's one thing that when I would have left, I mean, you put a towel out there, a t-shirt, a polo, a fanny pack, a backpack, I'm probably buying all of it, especially after my team wins.
In a good mood. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a Forever Coogs Navy Rob Gray jersey, I'm buying. A Wes Van Beck jersey, probably not. But I mean, look, I love Wes Van Beck, and Sampson had a lot of really good things to say about Wes Van Beck during his halftime interview. He's not my cup of tea. I'm sorry, he's just not.
I pulled up the TBT store website. There are a handful of T-shirts, a hoodie, a couple caps. And one of the T-shirts looks like a jersey kind of thing. Doesn't have the stripe on the side, but it's gray. It's cool. Got Rob Gray. I will say that I think merch would be a way to add to this tournament in terms of finances and make it a little bit bigger deal. And who wouldn't want to buy a nostalgic, especially because like back then you couldn't get the jersey with the name on the back. Right. A nostalgic Rob Gray jersey is a whole different thing.
You know who one of the founders of this tournament is, right?
I actually don't.
Chris Paul.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I learned that the other night when I was watching another one of the games, and they were talking about the impact, and they need some more money behind this thing. And once they put some more money behind it, this thing's going to continue to get bigger. Because I'm going to be a fan. As long as I think U of H is going to have a team for years moving forward. It
did pretty well. So let's. I think that kind of segues into the last thing I wanted to make sure we hit on. That was the crowd. Crowd was outstanding. It came off the screen. It looked very full. The crowd has grown each game. The 4 games they've had. You're there in person. You saw it up close and personal. I wouldn't say it was like Houston versus Kansas or Iowa State at home in the regular season or anything, but it did feel like a high level of energy for a summer league TBT game.
It was. And I mean, the program is at the point now that people will support Kelvin Sampson. And what I mean by that is, like, if Kelvin is involved in something, and he's obviously the head coach of the University of Houston men's basketball team. Well, the Forever Coogs are playing. There are people that will travel to that campus to support anything him or his family's involved in. And I mean, props to him. You know, who knows what he could have been doing instead of this, spending time with his family, recruiting, doing all these different things. He is choosing to become more part of the University of Houston family. And that is, you know, Jarris Walker talked about that tonight. He was quoted as saying that anytime he can get back to campus, he does it. This is a guy who is a top 10 recruit in the entire country.
And I should point out, has no connection to the city of Houston. I mean, he went to U of H, but he is from Baltimore. He went to high school in Florida, spent 1 year at the U of H. There's no connection outside of his time in those 10 months he was a student.
I mean, and his head coach was on FS2 tonight saying that when he was playing high school ball, he looked like Tarzan and played like Jane. That is an actual quote from Kelvin Sampson.
About a lottery pick.
About a lottery pick. Right, exactly. And that's the thing is that, you know, Kelvin Sampson doesn't hold anything back. He's just genuine. And I say that because the crowd tonight was just electric. It was electric, man. I mean, this university, it's so weird. You know this. You know this almost better than anybody. This team wins. The university gets behind them like few other schools do that are in a similar size. Like, I'm not talking about Georgia. I'm not talking about Texas. I'm talking about, you know, the Mississippi States of the world, the Ole Misses of the world, right? U of H is up there with fan appreciation with the best of them when the team does well. Now, we have to be better in the dog days as well. But I've been in the building for all 4 games, and tonight the crowd was the best of those 4 games.
And it really, you know, I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, the Final Four is an event in Philadelphia, so it's not like they're preaching it as something that would be at home. You know, I think that it's a shame that it's such a short window, and it is just, you know, if you win the whole thing, it's just 6 games. Because I think people are enjoying the nostalgia factor. We talked about in a few of these collaboration episodes after the games, right? Where it's like, oh, this is guys we grew up watching. This is fun. They're still winning. They're still good. When the tournament's over, and I hope it's not for a couple more games, we can talk about like how well this team was put together, because it is guys that are still currently playing somewhere. I think that's a big part of why they're so good. But it's also well put together in the sense that, like, I want to go see Fabian play. I want to go see Rob Grape. I want to go see Gorham play. Like, Wes Van Beek was the walk-on. I want to go see him play. Like, those names mean a thing to a lot of people.
They do. I think the one thing that could have made it better, the student section, and I know it's difficult. It's just an idea. It's an idea that I had, like, if this coincided with like a summer orientation, that it would have been cool. You do like an event where you can bring those incoming students to a game, let them feel, you know, what a game is like inside of Fertitta Center. Because, I mean, it's just going to be bananas this year. This is going to be the best team that the University of Houston has had this upcoming year, in my opinion, since Phi Slamma Jamma. This is the deepest team that they had. They will be Final Four contenders. So it's going to be a special year at Fertitta Center. I
think it'll be interesting because, well, we can talk about this basketball team a lot between now and then. But
can't wait.
It almost feels like this could be a way to build excitement for the program, right? Hey, we'll take down Kentucky in the final of this thing, and we'll see Kentucky and Arkansas in the tournament next March too, right? Like, that can be the kind of like context building you're doing with this. Mike, you're covering this with me, but you do other stuff too. I'm not going to ask you about what you think about the Tua contract, because you're talking about that somewhere else. Where can people hear you and all your fun stuff you got going on?
Listen, we'll give you all the Tua talk you want on Beer Sports Whatever. On my Twitter every week. We'll be live, I believe, Thursday night. Going to confirm that tomorrow. We usually do it at 8 o'clock. We're your home for everything fun, beer, sports, and whatever related. We'll get you ready for the NFL season coming up. We're talking Olympics. We're talking about the geeky guy who just balled out in the gymnastics.
The pommel final.
Yeah, I mean, look, this guy is a freaking monster. Okay, like, good for this guy. He gives the glasses wearer wearers of this generation like belief that I could be an Olympian in 4 years in ping pong. But no, Beer Sports Whatever, once a week, Pops and I break it down. And I'm looking forward. We got 2 more shows of this bad boy coming on Friday and Sunday when the University of Houston becomes your TBT 2024 champs.
I think they got a real good shot.
Absolutely.
I think they got a real good shot. Evelyn Drive, it's again 6 o'clock tip-off local time. I forget it's FS1 or FS2. It's in the Fox Sports family. I would imagine that's FS1.
Yeah.
6 o'clock local time. It's worth your watch. Get to watch your favorite Cougars play basketball. I think 2 more times. So go root them on. Thanks again for coming on, Mike. Locked On Cougars, Premier Locked On Podcast. I'm your team every day for a second listen of the day. Go check out Locked On Big 12. Trying to learn more about getting ready for the Big 12 season, as well as the constant who's in, who's out of the conference. Greg does a great job. Locked On Cougars, Premier Locked On Podcast. I'm your team every day, including Mike Brown, myself, breaking down Forever Coogs as part of the team as well. Go Cougs.